Welcome back to Basics, everyone. Karuna Satori here, or Sarah, whatever you want to prefer. Today I am Sarah. I have something very special. You're probably wondering, where have you been the past week? I haven't really been posting on Karuna Satori ASMR, and that is because I'm sick. I ended up getting a pretty nasty cold. Last week we went to our town's local Christmas market, and it was 27, I think, degrees. It was freezing outside. Everybody's all bundled up in their big coats and scarves and hats, and I was downtown, like we were all walking around, my family and I, and all of a sudden I just started getting a hot flash. Due to my Graves' disease, it never goes away whether my levels are stable or not, and one side effect of my medication, levothyroxine, is hot flashes. It can cause early menopause. There's a lot of different factors. However, hot flashes are very common in my life, but this, I'm telling you, I was at the point I was ready to call 911. Like, there's people bundled up everywhere around me, and here I am. I gave Vic my coat, took my scarf off, wrapped it around Odin, gave Satori my gloves. I'm sitting there, everybody's staring at this girl wearing this tight black shirt, and I'm just like, oh. So I knew something was up, and then the next day I woke up and it hit me instantly. I thought it was, the C word, but I took 2 tests, and I already had it earlier this year. I'm not sure or familiar if you can get it twice in such a short period, but it wasn't that. So I'm pretty sure it was either something with strep throat or just a cough, something like that. But the fever was ridiculous for a day. Now my son has it. He's inside, and I am here doing a little update video. I haven't filmed on here for a while, specifically because you'll find that the times that I usually go for breaks is when my thyroid levels fluctuate. I've gained a few extra pounds, making my medication not as stable as it should be, but we are back to that weight, and my medication is back to normal. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how I was featured in my city's magazine for the most beautiful, fascinating, inspiring, awesome, fabulous, and influential people of the year issue. I am genuinely so excited and proud because it's a funny story. I actually was reached out to back in, I think, August by the editor. His name is Shane Riggs, and he said, "You're nominated to be Johnstown's 35 under 35." And it's similar to this, however, they focus more on people who are under the age of 35. I'm 32. So at the time, if I say my thyroid one more time, but it rules my life, my lack of thyroid, that was around the time that it was a really bad time. So I said, first of all, I thought it was a scam. I was actually featured on the Fox 8, where they talked about this, and I'll insert that clip here because it's hilarious.
We are talking the Fascinating People edition. Shane, welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to be back. I didn't leave.
Well, we left our viewers, but okay. So I am excited to hear about some of the fascinating people. Yeah. Can you reveal all?
Is on it. Larry Crespo, Tom Crownover, Sarah DeShong. Sarah's was nominated to be one of our 35 under 35s in August, but didn't answer her questions in time. She actually thought that we were sending her email. She thought we were scamming her, and she wondered what it was about. And when the issue came out, she said, "Oh shoot, I should have been in that." So we said, "How about we roll you over in a fascinating?" We never throw anything away.
What makes her fascinating?
Well, Sarah is an ASMR artist. So the folks that do, and she has 1.5 million followers on her social media pages.
Wow.
And ASMR is a thing where I'm sure you're familiar with it, where you make sounds or you do whispers or you make noises that soothe people or remind them of memories so that it does something to your psyche.
Oh, I love that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I actually thought they were scamming me because I was like, Johnstown's never reached out to me for anything. But initially, I never got to answer the questions. I became very ill. And then when I saw the issue come out, I was like, oh, that was real. I ended up sending Shane a message and said, hey, I would really love to speak about ASMR if you could keep me in mind. He said, absolutely. We'll talk soon. A couple months go by. And then in October, I got an email from him stating that I was nominated and there's a piece coming out in December. He'd love to work with me. And I am so honored. It's amazing. And what's interesting is like I've had articles written in like the New York Times, Huffington Post, big news pieces like online, like whether that be myself, I've been interviewed before. However, I was just talking about this with my therapist today, God bless his soul, and how I was saying above all of that, this is so much more important to me. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that today and why that is. But first, why don't we go through and I'll show you my little article page. So my neighbor, who actually literally lives directly next door to me, his name's Scott Miller. He's a photographer. I saw his portfolio recently. We've been friends for a while. We're like a couple feet away. He's literally right behind me. He runs the famous Punky Flatbreads. Like, if you guys are familiar, I don't know. I'm sure there are people from Johnstown watching this. You guys would know who he is. His dad's like the tax collector of the town, but he runs Punky's Famous Flatbreads, which essentially is making it all across the U.S. But he also, before that, was a very well-known photographer in LA. He's shot a million different people. Vincent Gallo, Natalie Portman, Jack Black. Like, his portfolio is absolutely beautiful. Julia Roberts, I'm pretty sure, was one of the people I saw in his portfolio. And he reached out and he was like, or I reached out to him because Shane asked if I had a photographer in mind or if I wanted to use theirs. I said, oh, I'll ask Scott. So Scott came in and it's funny because him and I are like last minute type people. So he messages me randomly on a Thursday and is like, are you ready? We have to get it today because this was like end of October. He's like, the leaves are peak pretty. And he took hundreds of thousands of photos, like beautiful, immaculate. Like, I actually feel pretty for once photos. This one is one of my favorites that he took. They didn't use it. They actually used two of the ones I dislike the most, but it's not about like you know what I mean? Like, it's realism. It's what they feel that I look best in, and I very much respect and appreciate it. But let's go through. I'll show you. So I'm actually the first one. So you go through, and basically our city's magazine, which was 2022's Magazine of the Year award winner. It's a pretty cool magazine. I've known about it before. And on the cover, this is the Money Man. It's a woman. I'm not trying to pick genders here, but I'm going to show you right now. And nobody's pointed this out except for me. These are women hands. And if these are male hands, you have the most beautiful hands I've ever seen in my life. Like, please. But yeah, the pictures they put of this money person on here, Money Man, that's their identity on. And what they do is they go around and hold benefits. Like their most recent one was a $10,000 X marks the spot contest where you can go with a partner and you go and follow like a map, and then there's 10 grand buried under the city somewhere. Okay. So they were featured as the number one, and I'm saying they because I'm telling you, I'm not trying to, gender identify someone. Just those hands are like gorgeous thin females. Like, there's no way. But so here's the beginning, and it says, Johnstown Magazine readers choose the most beautiful, fascinating, inspiring, awesome, fabulous, and influential people of the year. And here I am right here. And then here's the other people. I do know a few of these people. Funny enough, Barb Zablotny, she's a good friend of mine. She is in here, and they put us right next to each other, which I really love. And I'm just going to skim this real quick. Entrepreneurs, musicians, teachers, activists, actors, athletes, philanthropists, photographers, and even the mysterious money man. The following people you'll read about in this edition come from all areas of Johnstown and our surrounding region. Some have moved to other places, but still have deep roots, a connection, and a love to our area. Each of these people featured this year is unique and different, and each one independently is inspiring, influential, and very much worth celebrating. And each one was recommended by you, our readers. And then they just kind of talk about 2023 and how these are our unsung heroes of the community. And reading that and seeing that somebody saw that in me, in my city, and I'm going to talk about why in a bit, is so honorable to me. Like, some of these people on here are just like, this is common for me. Like, I work in the city. However, I don't. Like, I know people from our city who I've even practiced ASMR on. I know people who know me, but they know me because we live in the same city and they've come across me on the internet and then found out I lived here. Like, we'll get into it. But, okay, so this isn't doing what I want. That guy was gonna train me back in like August. I reached out to him. I was like, can you make me thin again? And we had this whole plan and then just didn't go because I got sick. Because I'm always sick. It's always something. But here's me. So here's my article. I'm really, really excited. I really wasn't comfortable with putting my full name out there, and that's just because the man who stalks me, John Clancher, he's done a lot of awful things lately with my name, and I think that I've worked very hard in my life to keep that name put above all of the things that he tries to diminish in my life to this day, and so on and so forth. Just didn't want people to know. I'm the only one in my family left who's alive, essentially, who's given a legacy to my last name, Dishong, the Dishong name, and I'm proud of what I've accomplished and what I've done in life. However, people like him continue because they are so attached that they want me gone and dead and gone. So I'm sorry, my nose is running. I don't have a tissue. And I'm still getting over this cold. So going on it, like I was talking about the photos, they picked the one I like the least. The two I like the least. There's this one where I'm like, he told me to do that. I'm like, what pose is this, Scott? Like, I was making fun of him for all my poses. I'm like, he's like, these are photography poses. He's funny. I'm like, no, they're not. These are awful. He's not awful. Like, me and the poses are awful. And we were laughing. He's like, you want to be a MILF, don't you? Just kidding. But okay, so it says, Sarah Nicole Dishon, how would we know you? So a few people in this got an interview. Other people were nominated by other people of the town, and then they spoke for them. I was one of the ones who did get an interview. They did take 2 pieces. There were a lot more questions. And I'm glad they chose the ones that they chose because these were the more in-depth ones compared to the other ones, which was like, what did you do this morning? And I was like, tried to teach my 9-year-old daughter that going and watching The Exorcist at her age is bad. That was one of the answers to my questions. How would we know you? Quote, welcome back to our channel, family. Most know me as Karuna Satori ASMR. And by the way, this was edited to fit, so a lot of this is their put togetherness. Most know me as Karuna Satori ASMR as I practice ASMR online to an audience of over 1.35 million people. ASMR stands for our Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, and it's used to help those with insomnia, anxiety, PTSD, chronic pain, and more to calm down and fall asleep. I use a soft whispering voice and certain visual stimuli such as hand movements or lights to help the brain focus on something positive while also helping the viewer forget something negative. So that was definitely changed. However, it is summed up the best that it is. This gives the viewer a sensation known as tingles, which begins at the top of the scalp and trickles down the back into the legs. ASMR is still being studied, but it has been compared to EMDR, also known as eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, a similar mental health practice. Despite my viewers being from all over the globe, many also reside here in Johnstown. I've even practiced ASMR in person on a few people in the area and have included them in my videos too. And then the last one is, why does Johnstown feel like home? I have found that out of all of the places I've visited over the years, whether that be vacationing, road trips, or residential, something always drew me back to Johnstown. I grew up in Hornerstown as a child in the 90s and often reminisce about spending my childhood summers walking to the old L&D's candy store, spending Christmas Eves driving through the West End looking at lights, or holiday parades in Central Park. The truth is, no matter how hard we look at things, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. I find many of my friends and family moved out of Johnstown only to find their way back home throughout the years. For me, there's simply no place like home, and Johnstown is where my heart is. So that wasn't really manipulated. And then here's the other photo they used. What? I don't make that face. I'm sorry. It's just cute and funny because I'm over here watching this. Like today, I brought a copy in for my therapist. So I've been with my therapist, same one, for 3 years, and he is just absolutely wonderful and encouraging. And during the time that I was answering these questions, he helped me get through it, helped me, think of things to talk about. And again, they chose specifically like these, and the reason I'm bringing him up and bringing this up is because of why this is important to me. And then real quick before we go, this is Barb, my friend Barb. She's amazing. She's such an advocate for our city and the things that we need changed, especially closed-minded people when it comes to wheelchair users and things of the sort. And then this is Leo. He is the new owner of our local mall. It's a long story with the mall, but I'm very honored. And the reason I bring up my therapist again, it's because we've been discussing why that magazine means the most to me, other than, my other accomplishments, like being featured like worldwide compared to in my city. So I don't often talk about my town just because I grew up in my town my whole life. I've never necessarily left, only but a few months to a year at a time. I always found my way coming back home. So most of the negative things that have happened in this town. And when a lot of negative things happen, you burn a lot of bridges. Now, mind you, a lot of these bridges were burned during the time in active addiction and times that I couldn't necessarily control who I was at the time and what I was doing. And that's not justifying or putting any blame elsewhere. However, those people have always kept that same grudge, and then people of their peers have come out of the woodwork and done the same thing. I've come from a very, I wouldn't say bad past, because that bad past wasn't always like that. However, there has been a time where I was at my lowest, and at my lowest was in this town. And again, a lot of people saw that, a lot of, influential people, whether that be in politics or in news or just local people who genuinely never liked my family, so therefore they never liked me. So whenever I talk about the Dishong name and talking about how I'm the only one who kept a legacy for that, and I did everything that my family never got to do, never put their minds to. As many of you know, my brother is an awful person. It's an awful situation, truly. So there's only me left. I came from truly the lowest of low, and how much effort and pain and hard work it took to get where I am. Seeing that recognized in my city's magazine, like seeing people say, hey, look what Sarah's done for her life and look what she's done for herself. That's amazing. We want to feature that. We want to know, what is she doing for other people? What is she doing to help our community? And to be nominated is, one of the few out of the, 30,000+ people in the city's population is an absolute honor to me. Again, there are people in there who like Barb, for example, she's so used to like the publicity of like local news and like the surrounding state and surrounding area. Like she does this often. She goes and talks in schools. And she's offered me that opportunity to go and speak in schools and talk about addiction and talk about like how I came out of where I came from and things. But there's always been that fear. I'm scared of my hard work being ruined, and it's an awful feeling to see. So for example, when this magazine came out, like that's all I feared was, what are people going to say? Like, what's going to happen? Despite having a bad past, and I'm talking like 2009 in my active addiction compared to like 2015 when other bad things that were happening to me, not other people, but to me, those same people from when I was younger came out of the woodwork and did some awful, awful, awful things to me, said some horrible, evil, hurtful, and lasting comments that made their way around town to the point that like situations were happening, people were called. I don't like getting into it, and I probably never will. However, it wasn't real. Like but it broke me inside. It really hurt that people had that much hatred for me. And I was talking, and we discuss this often in therapy, and how some people just genuinely want to see you fall. And I know this is such a typical conversation. I've had this conversation for years and years, back in like 2017, and then you forget about it because my life is very peaceful. It's very comfortable. I love my life. Like, I'm very grateful for the safety I've created, the friends I have. Like, I have a group of friends who are just so real and so pure and so amazing that I'm so protective of this bubble. I'm so protective of what I've worked for and what I've built. So again, there's always that fear, like, well, what's going to happen when that comes out? But the fact is like, it did come out, and the hundreds of people who are so supportive. I got invited to a local trampoline park to be sponsored by the company, and then I'd be given a code. We're going to be doing that soon, which I'm really excited about. But the absolute just love and support and amazing connections I've made the past couple months regarding this alone is so just, it's life-changing. That's why this is so special to me when I talk about it. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. However, I'm getting caught on that word, so it's going to repeat. I don't know how else to explain it. I didn't do anything to those people, but those people to this day, like even after like, my half making amends for active addiction, like things that you just genuinely can't help when they're happening, like things that aren't in daily life, that is a normal type of hurt, whether or not, you apologize, that grudge is always there for some people. And then there are the people that come out of the woodwork again, who hear these awful false things, and they're like, oh, death, all of them. Wendy Williams. She's like, death, all of them. Like, that's what it feels like, and I'll never understand it. But in my mind, that's everyone in the city. But that's simply not true. And the past 2 years, I found that out especially. There's 1 million people in this community who are so welcoming and just so loving. I have the most, again, wonderful group of friends, and those people, and I feel safe and watched over. And then there's, my neighbors. My whole street is just, I live such a blessed life now compared to what I came from. My story genuinely is like nothing to something. So seeing this is truly an absolute honor, and my eyes are all like squinty because earlier I was bawling my eyes out in therapy about this because I can't believe that. Like, that's me looking at me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in this. I'm timeless. Like, this magazine, as long as there's no water damage or fire damage, will always be here. Like, I will always be in this magazine. You know what I mean? Like, of course there's the internet. Well, she'll always be on YouTube, and she'll always be here, and I have my YouTube family, blah, blah, blah. But when it becomes like your personal circle, it's so amazing. The support I've received over this is so honorable, and I'm so grateful for every single person who's believed in me, because I have been destroyed, truly ripped from the inside out, just chewed up and spit out. I have done my negative things. I've paid my dues. I really have. And then there's just people who just never give up. They just never give up on that trash campaign. And nowadays, like, I know it doesn't work for them, and I know, but it always sticks, you know what I mean? Like I said, that fear of, well, what's going to happen when this magazine comes out? What if people are like, you know, who's this? Isn't this girl who, you know, was a junkie back in the day? Or isn't this girl who, you know, whatever these people made up back in like 2015? It's awful. It's an awful thought and an awful feeling I shouldn't have to live with, but I'm working on it. So with that being said, this was a true honor, truly, to have and be involved in. These photos are hilarious. What do I do here? Like, what is going on? I don't know. And then thank you so much to Scott Miller, my neighbor and my friend, and Barb is an amazing friend, and thank you for the nomination. I really can't believe it. I can't believe it. Thank you. I can't wait to work with them again. I've been offered some amazing opportunities coming up locally, and I'm shook about it, and I can't wait to tell people about ASMR and the benefits of it, because ASMR has truly saved my life. Yeah, I can't believe it. And it's not just like ASMR, it's my work that people are interested in. And to this day, even with the quote unquote numbers and the, you know, things like that, it's like, I still can't believe people believe in me. Like, I can't believe that. It's amazing. It's an honor. And thank you, Johnstown Magazine. Thank you, Shane Riggs. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, everyone who believed in me. Thank you. You've made my holiday, truly. I will never be able to express how much this means to me. I truly, on everything I hold sacred, thank you. Like, thank you for giving me that proudness of myself. Thank you so much. All right, well, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Once my voice gets a little better and I don't have that rustiness, I will be back to filming some tingly bits before Christmas. I love you guys with all of my person, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Good night, goodbye, whatever. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.